still, in order for me to progress, in order for me to grow, I need to be in a room where I'm not the rock star. And I remember when I was young, I was in a room full of very poor bikers. And so quite simply, I was a combination of that room. I needed to get into another room. Now, I couldn't get into a room from that position of my life and be a leading coach, a leading business influencer. I couldn't do that because I never had that experience. So I entered rooms where I was the dumb.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. And I'm excited for this, man. I'm excited. I was looking forward for this interview. I listened to your podcast with Jeff Lerner. Well, first of all, I came across your podcast with Raul Meek, right? Raul Meek was on my podcast, and I was like, holy shit, like this guy is amazing. And then like a couple of months later, I listened to your podcast on Jeff Lerner's podcast, and I was like, oh, like, and then I didn't know that I was going to start my own podcast and then have you. So I'm really excited.
There you go. I've nearly finished my toast.
No worries. So, man, look, while you finish your toast, I've heard your story a couple of times. So, like, I want to tell you mine. Is that cool?
Go for it.
So, I don't know if you can like hear, but I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican, and I actually just learned how to speak English 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I couldn't speak more than 3 words without choking. Wow. So, just learn how to speak English, man. Yeah, and so I say that I come, like, as part of my story, I say that I come from a generational cycle of drug addiction, mediocrity, alcoholism, and broken families. Like that's the generational cycle that I'm breaking right now. And the reason that I say that is because my father was a drug addict, alcoholic for like decades of his life, and has like 8 different kids with like 8 different women. Right? His father did the same. Drug addict, alcoholic, broken families all over the place. And his father's father did the same. And it's been going on for generations. And like my father, I didn't grow up with my father. He like abandoned me and my mother when we were like, when I was like 1. So never had a relationship with him. But when I reconnected with my father when I was 14 years of age, and he gave me some advice, right? He said that if you wanted to be successful, happy, and fulfilled, this is what SHF stands for, right here. SHF is success, happiness, and fulfillment. He said that if you wanted to be successful, happy, and fulfilled, you needed to become a gentleman, right? And he said that the way you became a gentleman was by focusing on achieving true freedom. And the way you did that was by achieving freedom in a specific order. He said that there were 4 freedoms. Physical freedom first, learning how to take care of yourself and love yourself. Emotional freedom after that, which was mastering yourself, like knowing who you are, what you want, where you're going. And he said that once you had those 2, you were going to have self-mastery. And then financial freedom, which is the 3rd one, was going to be pretty simple, right? Like achieving financial freedom was going to be pretty simple after having physical freedom and emotional freedom. And then now you work the next 5-10 years on these 3, you're going to end up pretty young still, 25, 30, 35, whatever, with a lot of money, with a company that provides with an awesome lifestyle for you, with like a lot of confidence and conviction on who you are, what you want, where you're going, and like looking and feeling awesome, right? And at that point, you could give yourself the opportunity to go and look for the woman that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, build a family with and keep on growing your empire with. And that's sentimental freedom, being a husband and a father, right? And like that was the order that you should achieve your freedoms in order to become a gentleman and have success, happiness, and fulfillment. Physical freedom, emotional freedom, financial freedom, sentimental freedom. And he said that the reason why most men fuck up is because they do things backwards, right? They are looking for this sense of significance, and they fill it up with the wrong things: drugs, alcohol, and women, right? So they get someone pregnant, they become a husband and a father. Now they got to provide. So now they got to like spend all their time on the financial freedom one, And because of that, they neglect their wife, and they neglect their kids. They neglect themselves, and they never get to find out who they are, what they want, or what their purpose is. And that's how they end up, like fat, poor, ugly, alcoholics, and divorced, right? And that's what happened to him. And then it happened 8 more times, right? So it happened 8 more times until he finally learned the lesson. I reconnected with him when I was 14. He told me this. But guess what, man? Guess what? I didn't listen. I was a drug addict and an alcoholic from 14 to 18, right? I was like looking for this sense of significance, validation, approval, and I filled it up with drugs and alcohol from 14 to 18. At 18, I got my girlfriend pregnant, started going down the same path as my dad, as his dad, and like just repeating the generational cycle of mediocrity, drug addiction, and alcoholism and broken families. I got my girlfriend pregnant, but my mother had me at 15 years of age. And growing up, she told me a story. She said that if you have a kid at a young age, you're going to be a fuck up. You're not going to amount to anything great. You're going to fail, and you won't do anything with your life if you had a kid at a young age. That's the story that she told me growing up. She had me at 15. It was her story. So now I understand that, right? But I got my girlfriend pregnant at 18, and like that triggered me, right? Like that triggered fear, that triggered shame, guilt, a lot of stuff, and I didn't know what to do. So me and my girlfriend decided to go with abortion, which was what seemed the easiest and fastest route at the moment, right? Abortion. We Googled it, how to abort the baby, and we came up with a pill method. My girlfriend ended up taking like 40 some pills. On Google, it said that she was going to be in pain and she was going to bleed everything out. And that meant it had worked. And that's exactly what happened. She took the pills. She was in pain. She bled. And it worked. 1 month went by. She got her period just as she normally would. So, okay, you're not pregnant anymore. We did it, right? Another month went by and she didn't get her period. And we were like, holy shit, like what's happening? Like we just went through this. You weren't pregnant. Now you're pregnant again. We bought a test. She was indeed pregnant again. So we did it again. She took more pills. She was in pain and bled everything out. And it worked. And then another month went by. We were graduating from high school, like prom and all of that. She was wearing a tight dress. She didn't look pregnant. She didn't feel pregnant. Nobody knew that she was pregnant. We didn't know that she was pregnant. And, we graduated from one, and I was that drug addict kid, alcoholic, just wanted to party, no purpose, no mission, no goals. And then from 1 week to another, Steve, I became the father of a premature baby that was born at 5.5 months gestation because the abortion attempts hadn't worked. Wow. Right. And it was crazy. Like, it was really painful, man. Imagine like having a kid this big, a kid, like a baby that you just tried to kill multiple times and having it be born. Like, it was crazy. Like that completely shattered me, completely shattered my world. And at the time, it was like the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it turned out to be the best. It turned out to be the catalyst for my growth, the catalyst for like finding who I am, what I want, where I'm going, my purpose, like what is it that I'm trying to do that I'm supposed to be doing in this world. And now I'm, like fast forward, it's been 3 years. I'm 21 right now. So like the last 3 years have been full of self-development, growth and impact, right? And now like I'm helping, I have like this modern gentleman. I have this podcast interviewing men like you to like motivate, inspire, and bless other entrepreneurs at another stage of their journey with the tool sets, the mindsets, the skill sets, and everything for them to become what I call a modern gentleman much faster.
Congratulations. Well done. Pleased for you.
So that is my story, man. And now that I got it out of the way, we can get this started.
I'm ready for you.
Awesome, man. So let me just put my AirPods on to be able to hear you better. And I got some workers. Do you hear any sound, any like background noise?
I cannot, no.
Awesome. Well, I guess it won't come here, but there's like loud sounds. If you can hear them, tell me.
I will. No, we got no sound at the moment.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna connect my AirPods and then we can get this going. Let's see. All right, there. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
I didn't hear you. Let's see.
10. Hello.
Speak.
Is that better?
No, I can
1,
hear you.
2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's obviously your headphones because if you've just put your headphones in.
My AirPods aren't working now.
Right.
It's muted. There, can you speak?
10, 1, 9, 8. There. Have you got me? There you go.
Yeah. Let's see. Alrighty.
And what did we run
Awesome.
for? About 30 minutes?
Well, we scheduled it for 1 hour, so it ends. So like on my calendar, it ends in like 50 minutes,
All right,
unless you
okay.
have something to
Yeah,
do.
let's do 40. Yeah, I've got another. I was actually double booked, which has been a problem. So let's cut this off at 11:15. All right. So we've got a good 40 minutes. All right.
What's 11:45?
Well, it's 10 past 10 now. So where I am, Pacific. So we've got 40 minutes. So let's do a 45 minute. All right.
Okay, so 10:45 we end.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, awesome. So hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. Today I have Steve Sims. And do you know anyone that's worked with Sir like Elon Musk and has sent people down to see the wreck of the Titanic at the bottom of the sea? Or like, do you know anyone who has closed museums in Florence for a private dinner party and then had Andrea Bocelli? Bocelli, that's how you say it? Bocelli. Okay. Serenade. Well, like, man, I mean, like, I don't know what to say, but like, Steve is quoted as the real life Wizard of Oz, and by Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine. Steve Sims is the best-selling author of a book called BLUEFISHING and the Art of Making Things Happen. He's a sought-out coach, and a speaker at a variety of networks, groups, and associations, as well as the Pentagon and Harvard twice. And I did a really bad job wanting to read the things that you've helped people do, man. So right now I'll let you explain that, but you're welcome, man. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure to be here. Don't worry about it. I'm happy to be here.
So, man, so like, what is it? What is it? A couple of the things that you've helped people do.
Wow, that's a big question, actually. So there's two answers. For 20 plus years, like 25 years, I ran the world's leading concierge firm that did things like you've already said. I had people that wanted to get married in the Vatican by the Pope. I had people that wanted drum lessons with Guns N' Roses, be on stage with their favorite rock star, go backstage, be front row, learn piano, hang out with Sir Elton John. I did all of those. I was the as you said, and as Forbes said, I was the real life Wizard of Oz that made all these fantasies come true. I was the nice version of Ray Donovan. I was the fixer. That did really well for many years. And then the book came out, and then I realized how people have trouble getting out of the way of themselves. So now I coach, I train, and I speak all over the planet on teaching people how to go for stupid, go for goals that are laughable, and have people laugh at them just before they applaud. And that's a classic Elon Musk line. So my focus now is on helping entrepreneurs achieve more than what they first thought they were capable of.
Cool. Awesome. I love that, man. So, how did you, so I heard the other day that you were like the Make-Wish Foundation for people with big checks.
Yeah.
So man, how did you do that? Like, how were you able to make that happen?
Become that solution. A lot of people are spending way too much time focusing on how they look, how they act, what watch they're wearing, what car they've got. No one gives a shit. They want to focus on, hey, are you the solution to my problem? If you're the solution to me reducing my heating bills, if you're the solution to, cleaning up my toilet, if you're the solution to making me a millionaire, nobody cares what you look like or what you sound like. And I'm proof of that. I'm the guy that while everyone's out there trying to buy that sports car and trying to look sharp in that suit and wearing a watch that they've maxed out their credit card on, I'm turning up with no watch, riding on a motorbike. But I'm getting all the billionaire clients because I'm focusing on that problem and being the solution to it. And we're in a very, very superficial world, and that needs to change.
Yeah. So you were the solution for people with big checks who had big desires and lust that they couldn't make happen, no matter how much money they had, and you were the one who made that happen, right?
Yeah, a lot of the times they had the ability, but maybe they lacked the creativity, or maybe they lacked the time. They had the money, but they didn't have the time to focus on preparing this extraordinary experience. So they had problems. And no matter who they are, who you are, everybody's got a problem. It could be a small problem, it could be a big problem, but you've just got to first of all understand two things. Do they have the problem, and do they have the ability to pay for it? And if you can correct those two things, you're made.
Awesome, man. Man, one of the really things that I love about like your story and your journey is that like from early on, like you were wanting to get in rooms with other very successful people. And since I started my podcast, I have like 70 interviews now, and I started less than 6 months ago, and I've been interviewing 6-figure entrepreneurs. The majority of them are 7-figure entrepreneurs, 8-figure entrepreneurs, even 9-figure entrepreneurs. I interviewed Jeff Lerner. You were on his podcast. He invited me to his. He was on one of my like 5-day challenges, and it's been life changing. Like starting this podcast and starting to surround myself with high level people, having conversations with them has been life changing. It's giving me a lot of opportunities. But like the main thing is like the change in my mindset, the change in my own identity and how I see myself, because I'm talking to people to very successful people every single day, and I've realized that like they too put their pants one leg at a time, and that's been like the biggest shift for me. And like that was one realization that you had early on, right? Like from the beginning, like you wanted to get in the rooms with other successful people. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's what I do. Is what I do still. In order for me to progress, in order for me to grow, I need to be in a room where I'm not the rock star. And I remember when I was young, I was in a room full of very poor bikers. And so quite simply, I was a combination of that room. I needed to get into another room. Now, I couldn't get into a room from that position of my life and be a leading coach, a leading business influencer. I couldn't do that because I never had that experience. So I entered rooms where I was the dumbest person in the room. And the strange thing is, something I noticed was I got the fastest gain. Within 3 to 6 months of being in a room where you're the dumbest, you don't become the smartest, but your acceleration in knowledge puts you right up in the middle. Now, if you can imagine then changing into a better room and creating that, you now become the top tier of the prior room you were in. So every room that I'm in, I'm constantly looking at it, and it's very rude, but hey, it's my life. You're allowed to be selfish about that. How can I get the most out of this room? And when you get to that point where you go, hey, I love these people, but they're not pushing me. They're not challenging me. They're not engaging me to be better. Now it's time to get into a different room. And when you get into that next room, you suddenly realize that you're one of the young kids. You're one of the young pups that doesn't know everything. And that's the place you always want to be. You want to be in a position of growth every single time. So yeah, always find a room where people are rock stars and you're not.
That's amazing, man. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And an analogy that I like, that I've been using ever since I heard of you on a podcast, is that my Trojan horse to be able to do this has been my podcast. So what was yours? Like, what was the thing that allowed you to get on these types of rooms? Because there's people out there that want to get on like inside these types of rooms with other very successful people to like gain their mindsets, their skills, their knowledge. But for some reason, they say they can, they believe they can't, or something is holding them back. So like, what do you say to them? Like, what was my Trojan horse has been a podcast. What was yours?
My Trojan horse was aggravation. I was aggravated that I was poor. I was aggravated that I was stupid. I was aggravated that I didn't know how to be successful. All of that aggravation made me want to not be like that. The downside is if you're listening to someone that's dumber than you, if you're sitting there going, oh, I could never do that because of this, then you're right.
They'll validate you.
The second you realize that you can't do it, or you think you can't do it, you're correct. So stop sticking to those people. I want you to be annoyed. I want you to be aggravated. I want you to be utterly pissed off. And I want you to demand more of you. Demand more of your family. Demand more of your relationships. When you start demanding more and expecting it, strangely enough, you start receiving it. Yeah. And that's the part. You really want to be aggravated enough to grow to where you want to be. Because here's the daft thing. you're where you want to be now. When you get there, that just becomes the new normal. I remember being an 18-year-old kid going, hey, I want to be a millionaire. I want $1 million in the bank account. When I'm a millionaire, I am so rich. I'm never going to have to work a day in my life. It's going to be, doesn't happen. You get to that, and you go, well, hang on a minute. This benchmark's okay. Yeah. It's nice, but there's that benchmark now. And you keep raising your benchmark. If you've got $1 million in your bank account, yes, you've got money. But if you're living in Manhattan with 2 kids going to a private school, you have not got any money. You've got absolutely nothing. If you're living in a ranch in Idaho, hey, that's a bit better. The money can actually eke out, but your standard of life changes as your money changes. And sooner or later, your benchmarks just go up and up and up and up. And that's a good thing.
Cool. So, man, would you say that one of the biggest things that has allowed you to get to where you are right now is like relationships and connecting with people?
That's a byproduct. I think the reason that I've got where I am is because I've always been curious. You know how kids are always curious about things? I've always been curious. How do you do that? How do you do it and I can't do that? How do you do it and so many other people can't? I've always been curious. So I think my skill has I've never grown up. I've always been that curious child. And I thought, well, how do I do that? And in order to do that, I need to be able to have a conversation with someone that's done it. Yeah. So that's where the relationships came in. If I want to learn about how to do amazing things with money, have conversations with people that have money that do amazing things with it. Don't listen to your mate down at the local pub. Don't listen to a girl you bumped into at a coffee store. Speak to people that actually have it, not some person that looks pretty on Instagram. So what I've done is I've focused on my relationships to selfishly have the conversations that answer my problems.
That's amazing, man. So your curiosity has led to like you wanting to solve problems, wanting to know things, and that has led to you finding the people that have already done the things that you're curious about, which leads to them telling you how to do it. And that's great. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So like one of the reasons I started my podcast is to interview people, right? To like selfishly fulfill my own growth and purpose, right? But which is like to help men become modern gentlemen. So like the people that I get on my podcast are men, entrepreneurs who are at a very advanced stage of their journey so that they can share what's got them there. But like selfishly, I did it because I wanted to interview people who are the definition of where I want to be, right? Who got things that I want to have, who do things that I want to do and all of that, so that I can collapse the time that it will take me to get there. Instead of trying to figure things out, I just talk to them, get a lot of insights, right? So an example, man, is that I had a 10-year goal of speaking in front of hundreds of people at an event, right? In 10 years from now. But because of my podcast, I'm achieving that this year. Connected with someone who had that opportunity, right? And he gave it to me, right? Pretty simple. And once I got that opportunity, I was like, holy shit. Now I'm going to use my podcast to build like a network of people who can be speakers at my own event, right? And I'm going to be throwing my event in 2023, but I'm moving so fast that I've decided to throw my event this year, right? So one of the things that I wanted to like selfishly know that I wanted to get you to teach me was you have on your Instagram how to build and leverage relationships for maximum impact, right? Yep. So by the end of the year, I'm gonna have over 400 people on my podcast. I've already laid out the plan and everything. I have 70 so far, and I want to make sure that I'm able to I'm building this network, but I want to make sure that I'm able to like selfishly leverage this network to the best of my ability, so that I can have the biggest impact in my life, and on other people's lives, right? So what advice do you have for me, man?
So you've now told me your goal.
Yeah.
Okay. In order for you to achieve your goal, somebody else has to achieve theirs.
Awesome.
Okay. If you have your goal as the only focus, then what you're asking other people to do is purely transact you to get where you want to be. Okay. There's no relationship in a transaction. You go to a coffee store and go, hey, I want a coffee. There's your coffee. That's a transaction. End of conversation. zero relationship. So in order for you to generate your goal being helped by them, you've got to look at, okay, you know what I want. You know my ask. I want to be on stages. I want more people. I want this. I want the education. You know what I want.
What do you want?
Yes. Always focus on what you bring to the party. Always focus on, okay, what are you looking to do? Now, if you're trying to get a heavy hitter on your podcast, does he have a podcast? Does he have a show? Does he have a book? Does he have a product? Does he have a service? Is he looking to increase his credibility? Is he looking to market his influencer status? And say to him, hey, I noticed that you're focusing on those at the moment. I can help you. I can help you achieve your goal, and I can remove part of your problem. Now, the second you do that, by doing that, you open yourself to getting your problem solved, which is connecting with him, which is getting the information out of him, which is actually forming a relationship and benefiting you.
Awesome. So like an example, I just had a podcast with two gentlemen who raised capital, right? And then I had a podcast with another gentleman who also is in the business of teaching people how to raise capital. And he's having an event, right, called Capital Con. So he's looking for speakers. So now I can like I connected with two people who raise capital, and who I can refer to him to be his speakers. And he's going to be like,
correct.
Holy shit, thanks, man.
It's a very simple. The trouble is people overcomplicate things, and that's where things go wrong. Everything that's impactful.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to tell you that this podcast has completely changed my life in ways that you could never imagine, and I would like the same for you. Look, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and the fastest way for you to level yourself up in every area of your life is for you to connect with people who are where you want to be, build relationships with them, and connect with them. The best way for you to do that right now in the digital age is for you to start your own podcast. And I just wanted to let you know that I have a free training that you can get free access to. It's called the 30-day Net Worth Skyrocketing 3-step podcast cloak track framework. And it's going to show you how you can start and automate everything in your podcast, from finding your ideal guest, getting them on an interview with you, and creating an automated content machine in just 30 days. By executing on this free training, you're going to be able to connect with high-level people, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem, in just 30 days with less than 1 to 2 hours per week, so that you can increase your net worth, your authority, your trust, your client acquisition ability, and your opportunity. So there's a special link for this free training in the description of this video. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Is simple. It really is simple. You overcomplicate it. And even worse, you try to pay someone else to do what you should be doing. When you have time, do it yourself. When you've got no time, that's the only time you outsource it.
Cool. So, man, so what is Bluefish about?
So Bluefishing was really, I wanted to, actually, I have a copy here because I was doing a podcast on it this afternoon. Bluefishing was my story about how I left school at the age of 15 in London, aggravated, and how that aggravation and curiosity got me to learn how to make relationships, how to become the solution to someone's problem, how to brand, how to communicate, how and why to ask why, and really how to dominate a conversation, engagement, and attention for your benefit while helping other people. So the book I wrote 4 years ago, actually 4 years ago this year, this is the anniversary year. And I'm writing another book at the moment called Go for Stupid, but I really didn't think that book would take off. In fact, I didn't do anything. I did the book and I poured my heart into it and I released it and I walked away. I just thought, okay, I've done it. If it helps someone, great. And I remember I had a book deal with a company called Simon & Schuster, largest publishing company in America. And I remember they were hoping to sell like a few thousand copies. I think it sold a few hundred. And they were not happy. And me, I wanted those few hundred to become very impactful. So I didn't care. I didn't care if I sold 10 million copies or 10. I wanted the people that got it to actually use it, do something with it. But so the first couple of months, it was like a couple of hundred copies. I think 400 copies it went up to. And And then I think the next month was like 5,000 copies, and it just took off from there. And now it's been translated and become a bestseller in China, Korea, Vietnamese, Thailand, Poland. And last year was actually released in Russian. And it was doing really, really well. Although I don't get to speak to many people in Russia now due to the current climate. But it's been Australia, Europe. So it's done incredibly well. And that's why now that's my entire focus.
So what was the thing that made the impact? Like what was that made it grow? Like what was the thing that made your book take off?
I think the fact that it was just clarity of message. We run a media company, Sims.media, and we focus on clarity. Now, the funny thing is, you don't know what you do is brilliant until someone else looks at it and says, wow, I can't do that. You know, the simplest things you can do are your brilliance. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be able to invent a rocket like Elon or invent the light bulb. What you do, your brilliance could be doing a podcast. Your brilliance could be painting a picture. You know, whatever it is, that's your brilliance. And so I noticed that a lot of the things I did were very simple. My brilliance is being able to simplify anything I do. And so when people started reading it, they were like, oh my God, this guy's been able to do something with the Vatican or Andrea Bocelli or Sir Elton John. I could never do that. And then they read the book and they go, actually,
I
could, you know? And so I think that was the dominating factor. I bred clarity into a very distorted climate.
Cool. Awesome, man. So clarity. So you said you have a media agency. So like, what do you do there?
Well, that was the funny thing. And when I suddenly started realizing what I was doing, nobody else was doing, we decided to see, and this was just before COVID, could we do it for other companies and other influencers, authors, producers, marketers? And we realized that a lot of people were overcomplicating. So we focused firstly on branding, secondly on marketing. Now, that may sound really stupid for me to pause on those 2 points, but a lot of people, they go, hey, I want my business to be better. I want to get more clients. I want to sell more copies of my books, sell more courses, get more stage presence. I want to sell more products. I need to do marketing. They don't always look at the branding. Now, if you haven't focused on what you stand for, who you are, and the clarity of message as to what solution you provide to whose problem, if you don't do that, then you're just marketing confusion. Yeah. And we get a lot of people come to us and they go, my God, I've been spending 10, 20, 30, $100,000 a month on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these adverts, and it's really not working. And then you look at the advert and you go, it's because you're confusing. You are confusing people. So what we do, first of all, is we focus on the company, on the person, on the product, and we go, okay, are you impossible to misunderstand? Are you truly transparent and crystal clear as to what you do? You know, Starbucks, we sell coffee. You know, McDonald's, we sell hamburgers. You know, plumber, I repair your leaks. You know, that kind of absolute blunt transparency makes it easy for us in the world of mass distortion and confusion that we're in to make a very simple decision that, oh, if I want a coffee, I'll go to Starbucks. You know, no one goes to Starbucks for a pizza, you know, so it's very, very easy communication. So the first thing we do is we look at your brand, we look at what you're trying to do, and then we try to understand, is your message in line with your service? And then we tweak that to create massive clarity, and then we market the clarity. We started doing that before COVID. We had phenomenal growth during COVID. We're still going stupid as one of the top agencies out there now. And some of the people that we've got to work with it's been amazing how you think, well, hang on a minute, you're a big name. How come you're confused? How come you're listening to the wrong people in your brand and the marketing? So we're doing really, really well with the way that we do things. But you can get all of that on sims.media.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like you've been achieving big goals. So right now you said you one of the things you coach entrepreneurs on is on how to achieve big goals. So what is the key, man, to achieving big goals? Because one of the things that I've realized that is the key to achieving 10 times bigger goals 5 times faster is relationships. That's how, like, I would have never thought that I was going to achieve my 10-year goal, which is to speak at an event and hold my own event. I thought that was going to take me 10 years and it took me 1. So very curious about that, man.
Yeah. So here's a dumb statement. And
Okay.
it's a very strange statement to actually make. You never want to achieve your goals. Now, this is a very, very silly thing for me to say that train you on achieving your goals. But let me explain. If you want to speak on a stage of 10,000 people, then find events that house 20,000 people. If you want to make $1 million, then start actioning a plan to earn $5 million. You see, what will happen is when you stretch for your goals, and this is just something in human psychology, there's very, very few people that are disciplined enough to achieve their goals. We all know if we want to be fitter, we got to go to the gym 3-4 times a week. We all know that we've got to eat better food. It's the weekend. I won't bother with the gym and I'll just order a pizza. So we get weak with our goals. We know what the goal is. It isn't rocket science. It isn't hard to understand, but it is hard to commit to because as human beings, life gets in the way, or work gets in the way. Relationships get in the way. Things happen in life that don't allow you to be as systematized as you want to be. So if you turn around and you recognize that as human beings, we're flawed and we're not as conformative as a android and that shit's going to get in the way, go for a bigger goal and allow yourself to fail on it. If you want to make $1 million, write a business plan that's going to make you 5, fail, and achieve 2.5. So the whole goal is to, first of all, go, okay, what do I want? What do I need? What am I going for? And that's where you go for the bigger goals. And you never achieve them. And what happens is you go for the 5, you wanted 1, you hit 4, and then that's the new normal. What's your next year goal? It's not going to be to hit 5. You want 5, but now you're going for 10 and you're going to fail at 6. So never achieve. And that's a lesson in aiming for ridiculous goals. And again, it was Elon Musk that said to me in his SpaceX plant down in Hawthorne, they will always laugh at you just before they applaud. So go for ridiculous goals.
Awesome, man. So what is the ridiculous goal that you're going after right now?
I want my agency, my sims.media agency, to be looking after 1,000 minds, 1,000 creative disruptors. I think in the moment we're only about 300, so that's a big goal for me to go to. I want to alter the way people market, brand, and communicate with each other. So I think even though you may not become my client, by listening to this podcast and suddenly coming up with a ridiculous goal, then I've achieved my target. So nice. I want to disrupt the way people go for goals. People have vision boards and they cut out these pictures and they stick them up on their vision boards of what they want that they can achieve. I want you to put stuff on that vision board that is ridiculous. I want you to put stuff on that vision board that's stupid. I want to instigate people to have stupid goals and then teach them how to nearly achieve them.
Nearly achieve. Awesome. So make goals so big that like nearly achieving them is good enough.
It's treble what you first wanted. Yes.
Awesome, man. So man, I have 5 questions for you. We have a couple of minutes, so I want to make sure that I have time. The first question is, how old are you? Well, that isn't the first question, but I want to know how old are you?
55.
Cool. So what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could? Like not redo your life or anything like that. Just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would that be?
None. Yeah, you learn the best things from mistakes. I've made some stupid mistakes in my life, like all people do. And that's where the growth is. It's actually making the mistake and learning from it. You don't get success from success. You get success from things going wrong and you learn in the lessons and then you making sure you don't make that same mistake. If I stopped my younger self from making those mistakes, I wouldn't be empowered as I am today. So I wouldn't give him any information whatsoever.
Nice. Awesome. So then I guess the advice would be learn from your mistakes.
Just have fun, man. Go for it. Go for absolutely everything. Never miss an opportunity. That's what I'd tell him. I wish I'd have made more mistakes when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so in the way, one of the ways you can do that is by going for bigger goals, right?
Every time.
Without caring about, I don't know, like what people think or like fear or whatever, right? Cool.
Yep.
And failing. Awesome. So the second question is mindset. So like, what is one mindset shift that you've had that you can share that has allowed you to get to where you are right now in your life?
I think it's curiosity. I think if I had to put it down to one curiosity, a little child will look at something and go, why do we do that? Why do we have to do that? Why can't we do something different? And a lot of people will say that's because we've always done it that way. That's how it's done. Nothing's done like it's done. The world is changing. The world, cars are changing, materials are changing. You know, everything's changing in the planet. So you need to change. You can only change if you start with a childlike curiosity. So everything I do, I go, why do I have to do it like that? What other ways could I play with it? Just keep that childlike curiosity.
Awesome. And it's so sad, man. So for example, with my little brother, I remember like when he was little, I was like 14. And I remember like him being like 4, 5, 6 years of age, asking for a telescope because for some reason he wanted to see the stars. And guess what? Like my parents, you know, killed his curiosity. You were like, no, you're stupid. Like, no, you don't need a telescope. It killed his curiosity. And then he wanted some like a kit to like see ants and like look into their like nest or whatever. And guess what happened? His curiosity got killed. He was like, no, you don't need that. And it was so sad, man. I'm not wanting to like, I learned from that mistake. So I'm going to apply that moving on. So the next question is mindset map motion. Do you have like, what is one habit that you think has contributed to your success, man?
I get going, then I get good. A lot of people plan for failure. You know, oh, I want to do this business. Let me start planning it. Let me start designing it. Let me start putting it on paper. Let me start doing research. Now, that's a good thing. But first of all, just find out, do people want what you're going to sell? You know, you can do that so easily today. Go on Facebook and go, hey, I'm thinking of starting a company that sells hats for dogs. Does anyone here have a dog that you think having a hat would help them? If no one answers, you've just saved yourself 2 years of bankruptcy. So you've just got to get going, then get good. I remember the first time I did a podcast, it was on a phone. You know, I started my own podcast on that phone and it was horrible. The quality was bad. I didn't have a microphone. But when you start something, you can get better. But you can only get better once you've started something.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah, that's great advice. And that's a great habit to have. So the last questions are mindset map, motion, measure. What do you think about measuring and tracking?
I measure on smiles and I measure on energy. I have a great focus on what I call the ROE. Everyone knows about an ROI, return on investment. I focus on the ROE, the return on energy and effort. How much effort did it take me to do this? If the effort was large and the disbursement of energy was huge to the point that I'm tired, was it worth it? So I focus on the ROE. So if I'm doing something and there's not a lot of effort, therefore not a lot of energy, because I'm working within my skill level, and I'm now smiling and I got to do it in a couple of days and my client's happy, I'm energized, that's a good ROE. But when you're working on stuff that's just causing you tension and it's causing you friction, and it's just, there's a lot of effort in it, you really got to focus. Is it worth it at the end? Is the end result really going to buy my parents a new house? Or is it going to be so much stress and friction that I'm never going to be the same person again?
Yeah, that's great, man. And one of the things that one of the ways that I put that in is that I like to focus on my zone of genius. Anything that is not in my focus, like zone of genius, like that I'm naturally good at, I'll rather like delegate or have someone else do it. Right.
Yep.
Awesome. So, and which seems to be very, very hard for entrepreneurs. For some reason, entrepreneurs want to do everything, right?
Oh, an entrepreneur is his biggest problem. The entrepreneur, we've been there. We all know these stories. We sit there and we go, I could teach you, but it'd be quicker if I did it myself. And you're right. You're absolutely right. It would be quicker if you did it yourself the first time. But if you take that time to teach that person, you'll never have to do it again. So you've got to look at that. Entrepreneurs think they're brilliant. Most entrepreneurs go bankrupt because they become successful. And this is a weird thing. Just imagine, and I've seen it way too many times. Just imagine you're an artist. Okay. And you can paint dogs brilliantly. You're fantastic. No one's better at it than you. You are a sheer genius at painting dogs. Now, for your business to grow, you need to do marketing. You need to do social engagement. You need to do invoicing. You need to do payroll. You need to build a website. None of those things are your zone of genius. You're a great dog painter. Now, entrepreneurs, smart entrepreneurs, first recognize what they are not brilliant at, and they employ other people to do it. Okay, that's the first genius. The idiot is the one that goes, I'll knock up a little website. I'll start doing stuff on social. I'll start doing payroll. I'll start doing invoices. And they're not good at it. And they make mistakes. Now, they're good at one thing in a business that needs 10 things. And that's why most successful businesses go bankrupt, because they try to control every part of that machinery. And you can't. Smart entrepreneurs delegate.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, man. So, man, where can I get your book? Where can I find more of your stuff? Where can I get in contact, connect with you?
I'm really easy to find. Steve D for dashing, Sims. There's only one M in Sims. Steve D Sims everywhere. I'm at stevedsims.com. I'm at Steve D Sims on Twitter, LinkedIn. Probably my biggest following is on Instagram. Guess what? At Steve D Sims. So I'm really easy to find. And at stevedsims.com, you can even look up BLUEFISHING and you'll see the book actually on the front page. But you can get it on Amazon. BLUEFISHING, The Art of Making Things Happen, by me, Steve Sims.
Awesome. And man, relationships have changed my life this past couple of months. Relationships changed your life. And because of that, I'm going to include a special link just for the Steve Sims episode of behind on the description of this podcast to give people the opportunity to have a training from A to C, a free training, A to C training on how to start, grow, launch, and automate $1 million network building podcast.
Good for you. Good for you. Awesome. That works.
So, man, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you being here, and thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, pal. Look after yourself.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms